authenticity beats perfection every time. It just does. Ask your students to tell their stories in their own words on video, social media. Don't script it out. Just give them a prompt. What's your favorite part about being, on campus?
When Greg Carter dropped a thoughtful comment on LinkedIn about student-centered enrollment marketing, I knew we had to get him on the podcast. Greg is leading the charge at Virginia Tech as the Director of Strategic Enrollment, Marketing, and Communications, and what he's doing with student voices is next level. From flipping the script on scholarship storytelling to a game-changing social media partnership and a tour program of nearly 60,000 visitors, by the way. This episode is going to be packed with case studies, not just concepts. Greg, I'm so glad you've joined me for the show.
Oh, thank you so much, Allison. I've been looking forward to this for a long time, been watching the podcast for a long time, so this is truly a special moment for me as well.
I'm really excited too. I was just telling Greg before we got on that I need him to submit this idea as a presentation for EduWeb, so everybody stay tuned, but it's going to be a great conversation. I know it. Let's start with the VT Prism partnership. Tell everyone about that and the thinking behind shifting your student-led content from peer-to-peer to prospective student-focused.
Sure thing. So the VT Prism, that's a student-led marketing agency. It's in the Pamplin College of Business here at Virginia Tech, and they have been an absolutely incredible partner for our undergraduate admissions social media strategy. And my team stepped in. They've been here for a couple of years before I got here, the Prism organization. So my team stepped in 2022 to become the liaison for them. And at the time, we realized a lot of their content, great content, but it was geared toward current students. And so we wanted to reframe our contract. And again, we give a donation to Prism for their work. So we do an annual contract. So we reframe the contract to really guide them to focus on prospective students and their families, future Hokies. And that shift, Allison, has been transformative. But we reframed the contract and guided them to focus more on prospective students and families, our future Hokies. And that shift has been transformative. We're leveraging authentic student voices with this, but with a strategic lens. And the results are speaking for themselves.
What kinds of things do they produce for you, and what results are you seeing?
So it's a lot of YouTube shorts, a lot of reels, and really they are driving the content. They're close to the action. They know the trends. They know what's going on out there a lot more than I do. So, we meet with them weekly. And so they come up with amazing ideas on all the trends that are going on. They want to showcase Virginia Tech. And that's what we love. The Prism students, they love Virginia Tech. So they love this new focus of showcasing all that Virginia Tech has to offer, all the great things on campus, just everything that you can get engaged with and involved with in student life for prospective students to see and hear. So it's just been, wonderful to take that partnership to another level and allow them to kind of lead the charge. We're in there to kind of make sure that things are, on point and where they need to be. But I would say 99% of the time, we never really have to step in and question anything that they produce. And they're having fun with it, and we're having fun watching it.
Yeah, it sounds like it's really professionally run. I'm curious about how it's set up. Do they have student leaders of the agency and then other positions that they fill? And also, it sounds like they're coming away with some great resume builders.
Absolutely. Yes, they are it's student organization. They do have student leaders. They've got, the president and vice president on that. So we work mainly with the leadership there directly in terms of meetings and such. And then they pass on the information to their team. Various members of the team have different jobs. Some are doing the video, some are on camera. So they kind of move it around. And I think as some of the upperclassmen, as they've gotten used to how things roll, they train the underclassmen and move them right on through. But it's great because what they're able to do with our donation and other things, this allows them to take field trips to New York and go and see, how marketing agencies, are working in the big city. They're able to do so much with that donation. And so it's a great partnership to have. And yes, they're building their resumes with this, and we're having a great time watching their content and knowing that we don't have to do as much work to produce that content. We do have a couple of student influencers that work for us, but with Prism, we're able to do so much more.
Such a great concept, great opportunity. What are you seeing in terms of results on these social media channels?
Huge gains for us and consistent growth. Our Instagram engagement has doubled year over year. Just this past August alone, I think our reach hit about 76,000 accounts. Even our YouTube shorts, and we weren't doing a lot on YouTube when I arrived, but our YouTube Shorts, I think we saw a 130% spike in views just from last July to September of this year. The thing is, sometimes it's the wackiest of videos that perform the
Yeah,
best, right?
you really
Right.
can't guess. The whole idea of making something go viral, like,
Yeah.
who knows?
Who knows, right? And so we had this dining video, dining hall reel, and all it showed was just a bunch of plated food. Someone wanted to know about the dining, experience here. We are ranked second, in dining with niche in the country, so people wanted to know about the dining halls. It's just plated foods, and 210,000 views, I think, right now, and 7,400 interactions on this very short video just showing plated foods. But it shows what prospective students are
Yeah, what they
engaging
care
in and what
about.
they care about, right?
Yeah. It's so funny you mentioned dining. Our dining service, I think it might have been a TikTok. I think it has millions of views now, and it was just how to make your own buffalo chicken dip using ingredients available in the dining hall, right? Like you can really never guess. It was just shot on like an iPhone. Just it's not even a hard to produce
No.
style video, but
The
here it
food
is.
thing, the
Everyone's
food thing,
looking at it.
food thing is taken off, Allison. And one of the ideas that I want to expand into is actually having students off campus just record themselves making some of their favorite, dishes off campus, just to show,
Yeah.
what they can do.
Well, that's what's working on TikTok and Reels in general. I see a lot of cooking related things, and I am not a chef by any means. My husband is the cook in my family. I could subsist on cereal and yogurt. Really, I could, and popcorn. I don't think I could give up popcorn. And so it's not a thing for me. It's not something I'm searching for. But you see a lot of that content. So I think one of the strategies here is to know what's out there, what we're already seeing on the For You pages that are working, and then borrowing that, but
Right.
using it for the university.
Absolutely. And I'm in Virginia, so we're one of the states that has actually banned TikTok use in state agencies, and we haven't been able to utilize that platform. So that's why our Reels is
Yeah.
taken off. That's why we're putting so much into our Instagram Reels, and that's where we're winning.
We get more on Instagram too, and we have both. So I
Yeah.
think that's really interesting. I think the TikTok audience might be older than everybody
Yeah,
thinks it is.
I think so
Yeah.
too.
All right, so that's digitally how you're using these student voices and honestly student experts. Let's talk about how we're using students in person and the campus visits. So tell me how you all approach the Hokie Ambassador program.
The Hokie Ambassadors, they've been around for a very long time. I was trying to actually find out when they actually started, and it's years, decades ago. But they play a central role in our visit strategy. And what is making that program so effective is that it's just simple. It's prospective students. They want to hear from real students. So our Hokie Ambassadors, they serve as our tour guides for our daily visits and our big events, our open house events, things like that. But it's not just tour guides. They are 146 strong. So they are 146 storytellers in our minds who can share what life is really like here at Virginia Tech. And that peer-to-peer connection it builds trust. And I think last year they interacted with more than 59,000 visitors, and that's from our daily tours
Holy moly.
and
I don't know
our
how you
open
do it
house
with
events.
only 140 some odd of
Right.
them.
They do.
What?
It's an awesome schedule that they put together to make sure that we have one, sometimes two ambassadors on these tours. And yeah, 59,000, that's 59,000 chances that we feel that they can make someone feel like they belong here on campus. And that's how we see it. And they are amazing and work so hard for us.
What does the training look like for the Hokie Ambassadors, especially around storytelling? Because I think that's a different approach than some institutions might take when it comes to tour guides. Because a lot of times it's the script, it's the facts, all of that, but you're really empowering them with this storytelling. So tell me about how that training works.
Sure. It's funny because what they're really known for is walking backwards. Because they do. And we've tried to fix that and have them walk forward, safety reasons, but they're known for walking backwards. So there is some training on how you have to walk campus backwards facing the tour.
That, by the way, sounds like a really great video for social media, the training of the tour guides walking backwards.
There you go. Make sure that they don't trip over things. We empower them to tell their stories. Certainly there is a script about, things that we want them to mention on the route and things like that. But we really open it up so that they can share their stories. They can share what they think about the coolest places on campus to study and things like that. So it's wide open. And families say that, hearing those authentic stories from them, that's what makes a difference for them. It's honest answers about academic life, campus life, and traditions. So, we allow them to just take the lead there. So really the training is more so here's the route, and here are the things we want to emphasize on this route, but expect questions and be ready to answer those questions and answer them, authentically and truthfully, and let us know, what students are asking so that we can alter, our messaging and things like that. So it's really kind of basic, but at the same time, it's really designed to allow that honest peer-to-peer engagement. And our Hokie ambassadors are great for that. And one of the things I love is that during our open house events, they set up a tent outside of Burris Hall. That's our kind of signature building on campus, where the 3,000 seat auditorium in there. So as students and families are coming out of that opening session, the Hokie ambassadors are there with their tent. They have music playing, they're dancing, and they've got signs, literally signs that say, "Got questions, ask me." And they walk around with those signs, just so that families can walk right up to them, ask any question they want, and they're prepared to answer those questions. If they don't have an answer, they know who to find to help answer those questions. But again, they are an amazing resource for us.
By the way, I just did some quick math on 30,000 and 140-ish Hokie ambassadors. That's the ratio is 200 to 1.
Yeah, that's about right.
It's pretty amazing. It's so amazing. You mentioned how you hear about feedback and what prospective students and families are saying about their experience on tour. What do you use as your mechanism?
It's word of mouth. A lot of it, especially from our ambassadors, right? They share with us what a lot of students are saying. We do have surveys that we'll send out and ask them about their tour, ask them about their visit. So we can take those surveys and kind of put them with what we're hearing and seeing, and make changes and make determinations on what to do next based on that feedback. But we constantly hear that, they appreciate the ability to talk to students. They appreciate hearing those stories. They appreciate those honest answers. They can paint a picture about campus that 50-year-old guys like me can't. That's one of the most important things that we hear, and, they'll share with us, even about the tour. Hey, we wish we could have gone into the new gymnasium. We wish we could have gone into this building or that building. And so we take that into consideration. And if it's enough to change our tour route, we'll do that. But we'll also hear from, folks who say, hey, we wish that even the Hokie ambassadors would have talked more about this particular subject. And so we can talk to them and say, hey, feel free to talk about these things and share these things, because this is what students and families want to hear.
Well, kudos to all of you, because that storytelling and authenticity that you're all allowing for is what really builds trust with the family. So kudos to all of you. Let's move into this idea of storytelling, but around scholarship, because you guys have really taken a bold step in how Virginia Tech tells scholarship stories and financial aid stories. So tell me what was missing and what led you to this new approach.
What led to this approach really was a conversation between myself and our amazing staff in university scholarships and financial aid. And what they were, allowed me to see was that, this approach to storytelling, it really focused on the financial hardship. It focused on their gratitude. And while those are important stories to tell, they all kind of started sounding the same. And so, being a former journalist, I remember, you go to a story on the scene and all your competitors are there, and you don't want to tell the same story that the other folks are saying. You want to find, what's unique, what's different. How can your story be different than your competitors? So, I took that approach and said, let's think about this. So financial need in this country is not unique. 7 million plus students are Pell eligible in the US. And so what is unique about scholarship storytelling is what they're able to do as a result of those scholarships. So that's where we wanted to shift the focus and say, let's look at the learning opportunities, the experiential learning opportunities, and study abroad and all these other things that students are able to do thanks to that scholarship, as opposed to focusing so much on, looking backwards and looking at, their past.
That's such a great approach to be thinking about in terms of opportunity versus like a deficit that's being filled, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And it becomes aspirational, and that's what we wanted to focus on. Families want to know what doors are going to be open for their student, not the challenges that they know already exist, right? So it's looking ahead to what's next. And we want to highlight those experiences. We have students who highlighted undergraduate research in Antarctica, studying abroad on our campus in Switzerland, leadership programs, all of that stuff. So that's the exciting stuff, right, that we want to talk about. It shifts the narrative from, what I couldn't do or might not have been able to do to look what I can do, right? And it's that analogy of showing the large windshield as opposed to the rearview mirror, right? The windshield is a lot bigger, and so that's where you want to focus in storytelling. We want to show the unique Hokie experience, and that's what we call it, and how students with financial need can have that Hokie experience without the burdens that often come with financial hardship.
Well, and these sound like stories you'd want to tell anyway. You're
Right.
just having that added layer of connecting it to having been a recipient of scholarships and grants.
Right. Absolutely. And so many examples of that. Again, it's just about, I mean, and I think it's okay to mention, hey, this student may not have been able to afford college had it not been for this. But a lot of the old way of doing things kind of dwelled on that, right? And spent more time on looking back at their condition and not the opportunity looking forward.
So we've talked about 3 different ways that you're using student voices at Virginia Tech, through the agency, through your tour guides, through this idea of storytelling around scholarships. And honestly, it sounds easy, but I know it's not. Also, it sounds important, right? There's no one listening right now thinking, "Oh, we shouldn't be doing that." Right? Everyone's thinking, "How can we make that happen?" So tell us a little bit about what you've done to make it happen, because you've had to build buy-in across teams, I'm sure. You have a decentralized approach to marketing at Virginia Tech, am I right? Like, how do
Yes.
you deal with those kinds of issues to make this happen?
It's not easy, as you mentioned. In a lot of our communications meetings, I'm one of maybe two in the room. We are an advancement institution, so communications and marketing falls under advancement. So I'm one of two whose primary focus is on students. We have student affairs, current students, and me with prospective students. So kind of rare company there with the two of us. So we kind of try to get together on things. But yeah, you have to get buy-in. And I think you show results. When teams can see your engagement numbers, climbing, they hear about the positive feedback from families, I think they can get on board with that. We kind of emphasize too that this isn't about control. It's really about amplifying stories you're already doing in a different way and in a way that we think works best in shifting that focus to opportunities and experiences. Another issue that I think, helped was we launched an initiative a couple of years ago called Virginia Tech Advantage. So it's an initiative to raise $500 million to help bridge the gap that a lot of students were having financially between whether or not, they're coming to Virginia Tech or not. And with that being a university initiative, it kind of put us in a position where we had to be in alignment for the things that we were doing in terms of storytelling around scholarships. So that really helped us coordinate, how we work with the colleges and other units on storytelling. We developed a plan to reach out to scholarship recipients in advance of the academic year and get buy-in from them, get their permission, basically to tell their stories. And then based on the number we got, we would send that information out to the different colleges and say, here's a list of students who have agreed to share their stories with you. And so with that connection and, working up through the realignment of our communications and marketing teams, that's allowed us to be more involved in the storytelling from the colleges and universities. And a lot of that comes through our unit now. So we're able to see and take a look at how, what we're saying and how we're doing it. And I think they see the results. I think they see that the stories about opportunity and looking forward have resonated. And it resonates not just with prospective students and families. It resonates with alumni. It
Yeah.
resonates with donors and all of
Yes.
those audiences, right? So I think, when you can see that works, and it makes you want to repeat that and do it more and more. And it shows that all of those experiences, every student you profile, it's going to be a unique experience for that student based on what they're doing at Virginia Tech.
Well, I know one thing I'm going to do right immediately after we're done recording this podcast, and it's to go talk to the financial aid office and the marketing team about how we leverage our thank you letters. We're already collecting these stories
Right.
and helping students send thank you letters to scholarship sponsors.
Right.
We already have it. We got to go tell those stories. It's there. So, what's one thing you think listeners could do in the short term to start unlocking some more value from their student voices? What's something that they could think about right now?
I think to start small, if you're not already doing it, start small, pick one channel or one event. But again, let students lead. If you don't already have student influencers, hire one or two, measure that impact, and then scale that. And remember that authenticity beats perfection every time. It just does. Ask your students to tell their stories in their own words on video, social media, Don't script it out. Just give them a prompt. What's your favorite part about being on campus? We do that with placing random mics in random places on campus and with a sign saying, tell us this. So they're amazing, right? Do that within your organization, within your institution, and you'll be amazed at some of the things that students will bring to you. And another thing that we haven't done that I'm hoping to bring to the table in the next year is invite students to be a part of the communicators meetings. Invite them into the office, into the boardroom. It amazes me that, we all talk about what students want to see and hear in some of our meetings, and it's a lot of 30 to 60-year-olds talking about what students want or need. And it's like, we don't know, we're guessing. We got some research here or there, right? So bring them in, let them tell you, what's up. We have student representatives on our board of visitors. Why not have student representatives in our communications meetings to share with us? We have a school of communications. Come on, let's bring them in and let them tell us, what's popular, what's popping, what they want to see, what they want to hear, what's not working, more importantly, right? So that we don't miss the mark. But I think just start small and find a way to connect students with current students with your prospective students and build from there. It's not challenging to get it started, but you just have to take that first step.
I'd say just go and have them review the next email that you're about to send out. It's very humbling.
Yeah.
And it will also show why Greg's advice about getting them in the room when you're making those kinds of decisions is so valuable. Greg, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you, Allison. This has been great. Appreciate the opportunity.
It's clear that Virginia Tech is proving that using student voices is just not about authenticity. It's actually about effectiveness. So kudos to everyone at the Virginia Tech team working on that. If you're looking to rethink how your institution uses student content and student voices, this episode is a great place to start. And don't forget, the best stories aren't always the ones we tell. They're ones we make space for. So again, doesn't need to be scripted. We can let students lead the way in all of this. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to share it with a friend, and we'll catch you on the next one.